welcome back to tip number 10. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Chris.
And today we're diving into the 5 love languages.
Gary Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages.
This is like our third take in trying to do this. And for some reason, this is just such a tongue twister for Chris.
5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman.
Don't say it again.
Are we going to cut or are we just...
We're going to roll with it. We're going to roll. We're here.
All right. Gary Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages, is something that we read together as a couple or early on, I think actually before we even got married.
We did. We were a little familiar with it, and then awesome opportunity. But through the military, we also got to go on a marital retreat, and they had you reread it again and do a worksheet. And so we actually got to dive into it on a deeper level. I felt like together then too.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the 5 love languages, they are
words of affirmation,
quality time,
acts of service,
receiving gifts,
and physical touch.
Yeah. So we like to joke that we're actually all 5 of those.
Yeah. That's how we knew we were a good fit, because when we started dating, we talked about like, well, what are you? We were like, kind of all of them.
Yeah.
But it is interesting, as we did dive deeper into it, we did start to see that there were areas that one or the other would gravitate more towards, that you could really start to see, okay, that this actually is your tendency. Yeah. And what was the analogy that we heard at the class that really like struck home? It was about the different like languages and speaking.
Oh yeah. So if you both speak English, it's super easy to talk to each other, right?
Meaning you both have the same love language.
Yep. But if I speak English and maybe Danielle speaks German, I'm not going to necessarily understand what she's saying, and she's not going to understand what I'm saying. We can communicate all day long in that way and try to use every means to communicate through body language and whatever else, but we're not going to be able to really connect effectively until we are speaking the same language. So the same thing applies with the 5 love languages.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm traditionally more words of affirmation and quality time. And if, let's say, Chris was just acts of service and all he did was do things to serve, which now in this season, as mom and 4 small kids, this would bless me tremendously. But prior to kids, prior even to marriage, I would not have said acts of service was like anywhere near the top. However, which also can go to show that sometimes seasons can change, and it's good to adapt and whatnot. But like, let's say that Chris was acts of service and I was quality time, words of affirmation. And let's say that he never spent time with me and he never said positive things to just fill those love tanks, but he always did things for me. Now I could still be grateful for that, but there would still be this gap that I would probably not truly feel loved, known, secure, all of those things, because my specific love tanks, as they're called, are not filled. And so that is even a joke sometimes that we have in our houses. Like even with these videos, he's like, is your love tank just full right now? Because we're spending quality time together and we're doing lots of talking. And yes, I mean, it's been really great. So, and then I keep my hand on his knee for the physical touch tank too.
Yeah. And so for me, I think it's shifted the older I've gotten, but words of affirmation was always number 1 for me. And as our relationship progressed, words of affirmation, physical touch were the 2 that probably came to the top. Mm-hmm. And then it even comes in seasons for me, depending on what's going on with work or just life in general, and especially with kids. Acts of service is a big one. So I think there's a pendulum swing there, and you throw in a deployment. Mm-hmm. A lot of these things are very tough to do as well. And we'll probably do that in another course for military and focus more on some of those keys to success.
Yeah. So for the takeaway for this video, what I would encourage is actually, if you Google Gary Chapman 5 love languages, that kind of is a tongue twister, but there are lots of great even courses or just like free tests that you can go on, or like the book to read, or conversation starters that you can start to ask, okay, well, what is mine and what is my spouse's? And so that way you just have this awareness that you can show up to a situation or a season And you can just have that knowledge of, this is how God has created my person. So I need to really make sure, if I'm being thoughtful or putting in effort, that it is not how I want to receive love, but how they want to receive love.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you are dating, engaged, getting ready to be married, or married, newly married, every good home or good house is built on a good foundation.
Mhm.
And this book, this curriculum, any curriculum you can get for the 5 love languages, it's super worth your time to set a good foundation to your marriage. Because this is, like Danielle said earlier, this is something we still use today, and we've been married now almost 8 years. So it's something that that we believe in. We appreciate Gary Chapman and what he did and what he's continued to do to really develop this, because it's helped us, and I know it's helped thousands and thousands of marriages.
Yeah. So awesome. Anything else to add before I close?
No, I'm definitely not saying it again. So.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for tip number 10. We'll see you soon.